there was a point in time where I released, I think, over 2 or 3 properties that we owned. I think I owned a property in Campbelltown, maybe one down in Wollongong, one in Cronulla, one in Mount Druitt at the time. We bought a property in the Hunter Valley, and that was it was intentionally going to be a high cash flow, good income generating, growing market at the time. I took out a collective about a bit of equity of circa 75 grand, which was supposed to take on all of this development, construction and renovation money that I needed. We got about 3.5, 4 months in, and I tapped out all of it, and I knew I had to put a kitchen in still and a few other things. So I overcommitted there, and I remember distinctly walking down the Esplanade where I lived 15, 18 years ago with my wife now, not then, Kim, saying, I don't know if we're going to get through this financially. And I use those words. I genuinely said, I'm a little bit concerned because I don't really know how we're going to get through this.
Yeah.
And as it turns out, we just did more. We worked more. We saved more. We just hunkered down harder, and we got through it. But that is still a moment that I remember. It was a rainy day, similar today, miserable out, and I had to blow off some steam just to walk because sometimes you just don't have an answer. And she's a very, very steady set of hands, and she always gives me that. We've all got people in our lives that just give you advice that you need sometimes, and sometimes it's you need to stop, or this should be a lesson for you. But we were always a team, and we still are a team. But that's the part where I knew we got close to the edge.
Well, there's so many stories of people that actually get to, there's not too many success stories that you actually get the opportunity, like we're getting to unpack, where there isn't some form of adversity, there isn't some form of staring down a crisis, there isn't some sort of fork in the road moment. And what do you think? Where was the seed planted for the abundance mentality? Because you obviously honouring your mum, all props to all single parents out there, right? And it's challenging. But where was that seed of abundance mentality that was planted? Because when you're growing up in your household, you said that there wasn't a lot of extra, right? Mm. So where did that come from?
I think personally it comes from the values growing up. And when it came down to the values that were implanted in me growing up, it was the values of being outdoors and being by the ocean. Now, all my buddies growing up were surfers and just loved. So my time away when I was a mid-teenager and we cruised down the coast was pitching a tent, sleeping in a car and finding surf spots which were hard to get to. Now, that was happiness. That's still for me, as much as it might sound a bit tongue-in-cheek. If you get me a chance to have 3 or 4 days with some buddies and be in the middle of nowhere, it doesn't have to be flash. I'm happy to sleep. I've slept in my car a number of times this year already, because for me that's all that's needed. And sometimes, for me that was okay. And I think allowing that to then anything beyond that is great. So I think if I hitch my cart to thinking, oh, look, I've got to get to that waterfront property or that Lamborghini, and I'm not going to suggest that people shouldn't attach themselves to things that motivate them. And some people, that is what motivates them. But the reality is, for me, it didn't take much to be happy. So I thought, well, if I can proliferate even this to becoming more time to do this, then I thought, well, it might only be 3 or 4 properties, but we can just keep going.
Mm. Paul, you might also want to reflect as well on the fact that when you have, you've gone through the European experience, the American experience, you put yourself out of that comfort zone on several occasions and you landed on your feet. Now that's, most Australians are ingenuitive enough in terms of, trying those types of things. And when you do land on your feet, it gives you a little bit more confidence to go again. But at the end of the day, to have the multi-million dollar portfolio that you have, you've taken on higher risk and you've taken on that reward, but you've also judged and backed yourself in the sense that if that doesn't come off, I'll be able to reinvent or recreate a life for us. And when you got that backing of your bestie being your wife, it does in some cases make you feel invincible, right? In terms of what that looks like. Because typically males, and certainly my generation, we always feel like we need to be providers. And I've definitely taken a slower, safer path, and so hence, in terms of what that story looks like, it's half of that story because I've been more risk adverse as part of that because my parents instilled lots of risk elements associated with what I wanted to do. So it's quite interesting in terms of, but landing on your feet and then, being able to launch from that land has been a great benefit for you.
I agree with you, mate. And what I don't know and I'm unsure of is that I'm not, it's not lost on me that I'm in a really good position in life financially. Now, that doesn't change the fact that I have plenty of trials and tribulations. I have 2 kids. I have all the other things that anyone who's listening has. I don't care where money sits. Those things don't change. If anything, life's a lot more simple when you don't have too many choices. But I'm also conscious that my son's 11, my daughter's 8, and they're probably going to get pretty close to the point of really starting to explore these things that we're talking about now, when sort of that penny dropped with me when I was younger. And I definitely have taken, and so has my wife Kim and I, have taken a more of an active approach to money with our kids. We talk about it all the time. And we don't talk about it in any sense of what we have or what we don't have or what we're trying to achieve, but just trying to, and I dare say it's the same with you both, is that you try and find those just small opportunities to talk about, hey, this is a good learning opportunity. And, we're going on we're taking some time to go overseas in a week's time, where my son gets to go and play soccer in a foreign country. That's because of decisions that Kim and I have made a decade ago. He's not on a scholarship. It's not free. But I make sure that he's aware that how is this doable? What's doable? Because
now, is it landing? Is it landing? Because Jane and I were having exactly this conversation last night, in the sense that so we're going to Perth at like for the school holidays, and we're going here, and it's just all just happening, and that it's just like, wow.
Ask me 30 years, mate. I've got no idea.
They certainly, some of our children are very lucky that they don't go without, right? But
massively.
So but there is, you've got to try and keep with the lessons, rather than just sort of rolling out the eye fillets every time that you go out for dinner or whatever.
I know, mate. I know, and it's tough. I mean, I genuinely find that it's tough, because I don't want to be that person who's harping on about when I was young and this and when it's just. Yeah, that message is useless, even if they're listening, I find. But it's, it's the values that we try to instill of the other things, of just being good, decent human
smart
beings.
And hard work.
Yeah.